I have a couple things to talk about today. One, this planned, paid for Charlottesville attack between white supremacists and AFTA and Black Lives Matter, and they both came to bear to fight, okay? It's like when two gangs fight, they come to take care of business. When two biker gangs fight, they bring chains, they bring everything. So normally, both sides of those fights are just as stupid. Okay? But the media is like, oh my God, Trump didn't say the white supremacy and everything first. You know what? I'd much rather him do that than do what Barack Obama did to Ferguson, Missouri. I live in St. Louis. We still haven't come back from him accusing an officer of killing this guy. Hands up, don't shoot. You don't remember that? It didn't happen. Eric Holder did 3 extra autopsies and 90 extra days of investigation. While during that 90 days, people in that area were empowered and burning buildings down and looting everywhere. Thanks to Barack, Eric Holder, and Al Sharpton for coming and destroying my town. We never had the race relationships as bad as it is now. Okay, and I'm telling you, I worked in East St. Louis for 4 years as a teacher. My last job before my 3rd heart attack after 2 strokes and a lung poisoning. My wife, my kids, what the hell are you going to drive over there, Dad? 90-minute round trip. I said, because you know what? I've been teaching spoiled kids the last 4 years, and I don't think I've given God back anywhere near the blessings He's bestowed on me. So I chose my own. I have a BS in chemical engineering, a BS in economics. I can teach mathematics. I taught Algebra 1 and Algebra 2. I had a 115 kid waiting list in public school to take my class. Why? Because all the people that worked there, their kids went to my class first. Okay, and then whatever was left over, the kids got. It's the best thing a teacher could get. Because of me, mathematics, you can't learn it unless you practice it all the time. You cannot learn mathematics by skipping fractions, decimals, positive, negative numbers, and exponents, and all the different kinds of things that you have to have down to the T before you can learn algebra. Because when you get a 5/7 x squared plus 3/5 x plus 2/5, and you got to figure that out, and you're going, what? How am I going to figure this out in these fractions? You multiply through, get rid of the 5s, okay? So unless you know how to do that kind of stuff, manipulate everything, then you'll never pass that class. Algebra. You'll never do it. And that's why in California, they want African Americans to be able to graduate without algebra. I have one thing to really say about that. Algebra and mathematics, its purpose is to teach you logic. That you can't go from A to Z without doing all the steps in between. And for you people who think that algebra does not apply to any job, you're full of shit. I've used it a ton of times in my job. Okay? I had an argument over algebra with the IRS, who froze my business accounts and my personal accounts for 30 days until I proved it to them that I was right. Do you think I got anything from them? Apology or maybe some penalties and interest? No, I got zero. Because they couldn't understand basic algebra. Okay? So don't fill people's minds full of shit that it's too hard for certain people to learn. Well, it is because, in my experience of the 4 years that I tried to teach it, it was mainly because every teacher they had in elementary and middle school, when they got to something hard to teach, they just went through and got, and they pushed the kids through. I mean, I had kids that couldn't multiply 9 times 9, but they didn't know how to add 3/5 plus 1/3. Who's done that to them? I mean, serious. Who's done that? Who's taken that away from them? Because you know what? Probably 2/3 of all good jobs in America, you got to know mathematics. You got to know science. Just telling you. What my job became, which was so cool. Here, I'll show you a picture. You see over there those satellite launches? That's me. I worked with a group, my father included, and we manuscripted the first policy for a multi-launch, satellite launch policy. You can only do 3 years as far as the law in Lloyd's, okay? But we had, contracts, orally contracts. We all knew we were going to keep this for 7 years. That's what it was going to take for them to launch their 90 satellites. So we put together a policy. And we still hadn't sold it by 3:30 in the morning while we were staying in Claridge's, until I walked over to the underwriters, and everyone from the other side, my dad, the name, the other London broker that was there, and there were all the big wigs over there. They thought, oh my God, he's going to go over and talk to the underwriters and ruin the whole thing that we've been talking about all night. No, I sat down with the underwriters and I said, why are we going through all this crap? And they're like, what are you talking about? I said, why don't I know that you have to make money, and I know that he has to make money, the client, General Dynamics. I know that my dad needs to make money. I know that I need to make money, and John Howes needs to make money, and the name needs to make money. Now let's figure out how much each of them has to make. Because your break-even point on this particular deal is 7.01%. And these two guys looked like they were ghosts. And they said, who gave you that number? I said, nobody gave me that number. I figured it out myself. Well, how could you figure it out yourself? I said, because my first job I was going to be an actuary, and my father told me that if I thought that I was going to go to work for some other insurance company and make them money and not work for him, I was full of shit. So he threw me right into the A school. Because I had that. I could read people, and I sat down with those underwriters. They had it at 7.02. So that's how close we talked mathematically. I could talk to the engineers on the satellite, the launch vehicle, everything. But I could bullshit with the other side. We were going out to entertain. So, God put this job right in my lap. I was in the right place, the right time, with the right skills to take advantage of it. You know, I lived in HUD housing from when I was 7 to when I was 15. 6 people in a 900 square foot, 3-bedroom, 1 bath. After my father divorced my mother while she was pregnant, you know, it was hard to not get your ass kicked every day. You had to learn how to not do that. Okay? And when I taught in East St. Louis, I had pictures of all that where I grew up, and I wrote 20 letters to HUD about getting a 25 by 25 slab so we could play basketball when it rained or after it rained, because we just had this dirt court. Took 2 years. They came on and did it. Nobody could believe that I actually got it done, but I got it done. It was great. We played basketball. Okay? Because when you're growing up, when I grew up in the 70s, late 60s, there were a lot of games that had unwritten rules that everybody knew. And you didn't, I don't care if you could jump over the top of me, you didn't go to the hole unimpeded. If you were going to go to the hole, you were going to pay the price. Even if you dunked it on me, you'd still pay the price. My job when I played high school basketball was just to piss off their best player. Hand check him. I have great lower body strength. And he could be 6 inches taller than I am, but I would hand check him. I would do everything I could possibly do. Put it forearm towards him when I rebounded the ball. I'd get this guy so mad, he'd take a swing at me. Got thrown out of the game. I did my job. I scored my 8 points and grabbed my 14 rebounds. That's what I was supposed to do. If I ventured 6 foot from the basket, I was immediately benched. Because my zone of playing was in that 6 foot little rectangle. Okay? Unreal, huh?